Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. In this video I'd like to show you part 1 of the Crochet Along Peacock Tail Bag designed by Tatjana from Lillebjorn Crochet. In this video I'll be showing you how to do the front of the bag, and in a separate video I'll show you how to do the back of the bag, because you're working both parts at the same time. The yarn that I'm using is Linen Soft yarn by Scheepjes, and I'm using this in combination with a 3mm crochet hook. The pattern itself calls for a 2.75mm hook. I unfortunately don't have that hook, that's why I'm using a 3mm. As such, which hook size you use is less critical as is the gauge that you're getting. So if you're getting a good gauge with a smaller or a larger hook, that's fine, but make sure you get the correct gauge. This has to do with the final size of your bag as well as the yardage that's in your yarn kit and how dense your stitches are. So you want to have the correct gauge on your pieces. I'll take you step by step through the rounds that make up part 1 of this crochet along. I hope it's a useful video for you, and thank you for watching. When you've completed both the front and the back side of your bag, you want to make sure that your gauge is still okay. First of all, these two should be the same size. So that's important, that your front and back are the same size, so you don't have one that's a lot bigger than the other, because then obviously your bag isn't going to fit. So that's one thing you want to make sure they have the same size. And the second thing you want to check is that your diameter at this point should be about 12 centimeters. So make sure that your gauge is still correct at this point. So about 12 centimeter diameter, and make sure that your two pieces are the same size. If that's the situation, then you're good to go for next week. If you have that one's bigger than the other, then rework one of them. If your gauge is all off, you might want to consider changing a hook size to go a size up or down to get the correct gauge. I'm going to start by making a magic ring. That's over. Pick up from the back, pick up again, pull through. In our first round we're going to be making double crochets, 12 in total. Start with a chain 2. That's going to be our first double crochet. That's our first one. And now we work 11 more in the ring. So that is 1, 2, 3. You're going to have to really hold it properly because this initial round is just a little fiddly. But after this it gets better as your project gets bigger. Need a few more. And then I'll show you how to close with an invisible join. And for this round I'll show you how to close with the hook. And on the next round I'll show you how to close with the needle. And then you can choose for yourself which method you prefer most. With the hook is much faster, of course. Just count my stitches. So that was the chain 2, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I still need 2 more. Number 10 and number 11. There we go. To close the ring by pulling real tight on your loop, and then we can cut our yarn. And I just want to close it a bit further. There we go. Now I'll show you how to do an invisible join with the hook. Open up this thread, go to your first stitch, the real stitch, so not the chain 2, but the stitch that you worked after it. See, here's your chain 2, the stitch next to it. Pull that thread you opened up, pull that through, and then go back to the stitch where you just worked, and on the back loop, or you can do both. Actually, I'm going to do both, maybe that's just easier for you. And pull through. And now you've made an invisible join there. And this thread, I'm going to work over this thread in the next round. So I don't have to stress about it right now. That completes round 1. And then in round 2, we're going to continue. Round 2, I have a new color yarn. And we're going to attach this yarn with a slip stitch to our work. You can choose any stitch you like. I'm going to choose a stitch that's reasonably close to where we just had the invisible join, because I want to take this thread with me. So I'm just going to take 2 stitches before that, have my yarn, and attach it to your work with a slip stitch. Also, one note, you're working through both loops here of the stitch. Often in overlay crochet you'll only work in the back loops, but for this pattern you're working through both loops. So don't accidentally work only in the back loops. I'm going to do an increase on every stitch. That means we're doing 2 double crochets on every stitch. That's 1, 2. That chain 2 is your first double crochet, and then work a double crochet in the same stitch. There we go. And that's your first increase. The next one, also work 2 double crochets, and now I'm going to take that darker green thread with me to the back. You want to work over that thread, and then you're working it in as you go, and that just saves you having to work your threads in. Then you don't have to spend extra time on that. And 2 double crochets on this stitch, and then the stitch after that is your invisible join stitch. And for this stitch I'm just making sure that you grab both those loops, and you also want to grab that yarn from the invisible from round 1. So I'm going to work over 2 threads now. 1, and still making 2 double crochets on every stitch. And you'll notice that your work is reasonably tight, because you're working with a smaller hook than normal for this yarn, for the linen soft yarn. That's because you want to have a dense pattern for your bag, otherwise you're going to have lots of holes in your bag. So you really want to make sure that you're going for that smaller hook size, and it will result in a slightly tighter pattern, of course, but that's what we want, so that's good. I'm still working 2 double crochets on every stitch. I'm going to go all the way around, and then I'll show you how to do an invisible join with a needle. And that's it's in essence the same, but just a slightly different way. And then after that I won't be showing you the invisible joins anymore, but you can then choose which way you want to do it for yourself. Working 2 double crochets on every stitch, so this is a great round because it's nice and easy, and it won't be long before we start doing our first overlay stitches and actually start working the beautiful decorations for this pattern. So almost round. You see I still have both these threads with me. I'm still working over everything, and the reason is then you don't have to work that away later. It gives a very neat and tidy result. Still have 2 stitches left. Going to work 2 double crochets on this stitch, and then work 2 on the next, and that's 1 and 2 double crochets. And now I'm again going to cut my yarn, open up, and we're going to do an invisible join on the top of this first double crochet. So we're making a small hat for the chain 2. That's in essence what you're doing with the invisible join. I'll show you with a needle this time around, and then you can make the choice if you want to do the needle or the hook. chain 2, you're going to skip that and go to the first double crochet. Insert your needle through that stitch, pull through, then come back to the last stitch worked, so that's this last double crochet. I'll just open it up here, so that's this double crochet here. Through the top of that stitch, just pull it back together, through the top of that stitch, insert your hook, like so, and close. You want to make sure that your stitches are the same size as all the other stitch, and that is the invisible join I just made, and you see it's a perfect line up of all these stitches. And at this point, because I have it on my hook anyway, I'm just going to work away this thread. But if you were to do the hook, you could work it in with the next round as we've just done. That is all up to you. I can now cut all these threads here to the back, except for the one in the middle. I'm just going to leave that there for a while longer, until my work's a bit bigger. But that completes round 2. Round 3, I have a new color yarn. You're going to attach this yarn in the first of any 2 double crochets. We've got these 2 double crochets in one stitch. I'm going to take the first one. Doesn't matter which one, you can start in any position you like. So the first of those 2, attach your yarn with a slip stitch. We're again going to be working increases. It's also again a background row this round. And to do a first double crochet is a chain 2. So it's a double crochet, and on the next stitch work 2 double crochets. And again I'm taking the pink thread with me to the back here so that I don't have to work it in. You work 2 double crochets in the one stitch. Next stitch work 1 double crochet, and then work 2 double crochets in the stitch after. And that is your repeat unit. That's 1 double crochet in one stitch and then 2 in the stitch after. Going to do that all the way around, and then you're going to close with an invisible join on your first stitch. So it's covering the chain 2, making a stitch on top of that. See how I've now done a few. Repeat this, go all the way around. When you get to this point, close again with an invisible join. And you can use either your hook or a needle. Round 4, new color yarn. And we're again going to start in a double crochet increase. You have 2 double crochets here worked in the one stitch, and we're going to start in the first of those 2. You can start in any position you like, but take the first double crochet increase. I'm just going to go a few positions back because I've got the thread from my needle join here and I want to take it with me. Attach your yarn with a slip stitch to the first of those 2 double crochets there. And again we're going to work a double crochet, and our first one is a chain 2. In the next stitch work 1 double crochet, and also work yes, that's correct, and then in the next stitch work 2 double crochets. That's 1 and 2. So this is your repeat unit, 2 double crochets and then an increase. I'll show you a few more times. On the next stitch work 1 double crochet, and on the stitch after that also work 1 double crochet, and on the stitch after work 2 double crochets. And this is a stitch where I have my invisible join is, so I'm going to take that pink yarn with me together with the green. So I'm working over 2 threads here. It's 1 and 2. You're going to continue like this. You're going to go all the way around, and when you get to the beginning, close again with an invisible join. Show you once more. 1 double crochet in the next stitch and 1 double crochet in the stitch after that, and then work 2 in the following stitch and 2. Continue like this, go all the way around, and we get here, close again with an invisible join. Round 5. This round we're going to start in the second double crochet after an increase. You have here 2 double crochets in the one stitch. You have a double crochet there and a double crochet there, and then you get an increase again. That second double crochet, that's the one you want. Okay, to insert into position, doesn't matter where you start, just make sure it's that second double crochet, that one, after the increase. Attach with a slip stitch. I'm going to work a double crochet on the next 3 stitches. Our first one is of course again a chain 2. That's the first double crochet. Then work a double crochet on the next stitch, taking my thread with me, working it in as I go. And then this is double crochet number 3, because that chain 2 also counts as a double crochet. And now we work an increase, so that's 2 double crochets in the same stitch. That's 1 and 2. And again, this is your repeat unit that you're going to do all the way around. Show you once more. There's 3 double crochets on the next stitches, that's 1 on each. 2, 3 double crochets, and then work 2 on the next stitch. Do this all the way around, and when you get to the beginning, close on your first stitch with an needle join, an invisible join. Round 6. Now this is the round where your overlay stitch work starts. We're going to start in the second double crochet of any double crochet increase that you've made in the previous round. So it doesn't matter which position, or in the sense that you can start any place you like, but the second double crochet. Attach your yarn with a slip stitch like so, and we're going to work 4 half doubles. We're first actually going to do a small repeat, and then after that we do a larger repeat. So first a small repeat, we do 3 times. Going to work 4 half doubles. Now the chain 2 is your first half double crochet, and then half double number 2, 3, and 4. On the next stitch you're going to work 2 half doubles. That's 1 and 2. So that's a little repeat unit. You're going to do that 3 times in total. So I've just done twice. Oh, sorry, I've done once. You need to do twice more. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 half doubles, and then again the increase on the next stitch. So that's 2 half doubles in the one position. 1 and 2. So that was twice. Need to do once more, and then we can start the overlay stitches. So do 1, 2, 3, 4, the half doubles, and then on the next stitch do 2, 1 and 2. So that was the first part of round 6. Now we're going to do the second part, and the second part is again a small repeat that you're going to do 9 times. The second repeat, we're starting with working 5 half doubles. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and number 5. And now you're going to do your first overlay stitch. Let me just show you exactly what you're going to do. You're going to work a treble, and you're going to work it. If you come down, this is a stitch where you're currently in. See that stitch there? If you come down, you'll see here is a second of 2 double crochet stitches that will work together. If you come down, you'll see that stitch there. That's the one that you're going to work a front post treble in. If you notice that the treble is too tight, you can skip one or make it one more, so make a double treble. I'm going to do a treble because I expect that it will be fine. So you're going to come down 2 rows, and in that second of these 2 double crochet increases, you're going to work a front post treble. So that's twice over for the treble, and then folding my work because I really need to get around that stitch, so I'm folding my work a little bit closed, work a front post treble. So here we go, 1, and take off 3 times, 2 and 3, and that is your first overlay stitch made. This little unit that you just done, the 5 half doubles and then this front post treble, I'm going to do this 9 times. I'll show you the repeat 1 or 2 more times. On the next stitch, it's immediately the next stitch. You're not skipping any stitches to the back. You'll notice that sometimes you do that, but this time not. So it's immediately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 half doubles, and now again come down, and in the second 2 rows down, this second double crochet, going to work a front post treble around that. And if your stitches pull too much, so if your work doesn't lie flat but really pulls inward, it does this, work this treble with a double treble. That will give you just a bit more breathing room on those stitches. So again, twice over, and then work the front post stitch. 1, 2, and I'm really also taking effort to keep the top of this stitch small, because that also happens with trebles sometimes. So that was the second repeat, and so then the third, in 1, 5 half doubles, 2, 3, 4, and 5, like so. And then again come down and work on that second of these 2 from 2 rows down, twice over for the treble, then work a front post treble. Like so. I've now done this little unit 3 times. Do a few more. You're going to do 9 in total. That will bring you to this side, where you then close with an invisible join. round 7. This round we're going to start basically building the flat side of our bag, the top side of the bag and the bottom half. It's very important to get this round at the correct position, because from here we're building on top of that. We're going to start in the second half double in your first increase. Here you have these 2 half doubles in the same stitch. That's just after the last treble. If you go all the way around, you see here you have this stretch here that you have no trebles. So on that second half double crochet from the increase, that first increase, the second half double, attach there your new yarn with a slip stitch. I'm going to start by working 13 single crochets on here. Your first single crochet is a chain 1, and then the second single crochet is a normal one, and you're completing that single crochet when you do the invisible join. So this is then number 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Remember to keep counting. 8, 9, 10. You want 3 more. This is 11, 12 and 13. 13 single crochets, and what you're noticing and what you want is that these are this is symmetrical like this, so that you have it has to be nice in the center here. That's not offset to this side or to that side. Now I'm going to do a repeat unit again that you're going to repeat 9 times. Start by making a half double on the next 2 stitches and 2. On the following stitch do an increase, so that's 2 half doubles, 1 and 2, followed by 3 half doubles. That's 1, 2 and 3 half doubles. So that little unit of the half doubles, you're going to do that 9 times. That'll bring you to this side, not completely to the single crochet. You'll still have a few stitches left, but this you're going to do 9 times. I'll show you once more. So that's 2 half doubles, 1 and 2 half doubles, followed by an increase. So that's 2 half doubles in the same stitch, and then 3 more half doubles. So 1, 2 and 3. Continue. Do this repeat 7 more times, so 9 times in total. When you're almost round, you've now done the repeat 9 times, you have a few stitches left. On these you're going to work, you want the entire stitch of course, a half double on the first 2 stitches, and then an increase, so that's 2 half doubles in the next, and then you have 2 stitches left. On those 2 you work and 1 half double crochet on each, like so. That completes round 7. You can cut your yarn, pull through and close here with an invisible join.